Hi, this is Rex. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said to his followers, "Blessed are you when men persecute you because of me." Most Christians in America can't truly appreciate what it means to be persecuted, other than an occasional insult or having something negative said about us or possibly being overlooked for a job promotion. Most Christians in America don't know what it means to be persecuted. Certainly not like Christians in many other parts of the world. According to the Pew Research Center, over 75% of the world's population live in areas with severe religious restrictions, and many of these people are Christians. Also, according to the U.S. Department of State, Christians in 60 countries in the world are facing persecution at the hands of their government or neighbors simply because of their belief in the person of Jesus Christ. In nations such as North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Afghanistan, Christians are even targeted and put into prison or killed for their faith. Now, I'm not an alarmist or a doomsayer, but I do believe that the tide in America is turning. Where Christianity once had a great influence in our land and many Christians were highly prospective, today Christian beliefs and those who profess to be followers of Christ are barely even tolerated. I would not be surprised even in the next couple of years if we begin to see more persecution than ever before. It may begin with government forcing their policies that lean in favor of the homosexual agenda or a woman's right to choose on local churches, and those who refuse to comply will lose their tax-exempt status. If persecution does come to America, how will we respond? We're going to be studying 1 Peter in the next couple of weeks, and in this letter, Peter writes to those believers who were persecuted for their faith, who are scattered all over Asia Minor. And he wrote this letter to encourage them in the faith. And he says to them, if you are going to thrive in the midst of your suffering, you need to have a divine perspective on persecution. And if they were going to respond in a way that would honor God, then they would need to have a divine perspective on their trials. Bruce Wilkinson, the founder of Walk Through the Bible Ministries, identifies 4 key principles on suffering found in 1 Peter. They are, number 1, don't be surprised by suffering. If the one that we follow was hated by the world, we too should expect to be hated and persecuted. Number 2, count your suffering as a way to share in the sufferings of Christ. Since Jesus was willing to suffer and die for us, we should count it a privilege to be willing to suffer for him. Number 3, make sure that you're suffering for righteousness' sake and not unrighteousness. There's no reward for suffering as a result of the consequences of your sin. And number 4, remember that your suffering is not in vain. There's always a purpose to persecution, and that is that it serves as a stimulus to help us to grow in Christ-likeness. As you study 1 Peter, look to gain a godly perspective on persecution. Take notice of what Peter has to say specifically to those of us who are travelers in this world, sojourners as he puts it, that in light of our position in Christ and our future hope, that we should be able to face any suffering that comes our way with confidence in and dependence on our great and awesome God.